The 7 Days to Die 2.0 update brought some absolutely insane power to the Sledgehammer, as well as some interesting changes to the Baton. And with these changes, it got me wondering, which one of these items is now the ultimate crowd control champion? Well, today that's what I'm going to attempt to figure out. Now, when you're comparing two relatively different weapons with a lot of different variables, the best thing to do is try to dumb it down as much as possible. The reason for this is it helps to give us some amount of quantifiable data. So to do this, I figured the best place to start was to summon in 5 of the charged whites. Why them? Because they are theoretically some of the strongest zombies that you can run into. And if you can handle a bunch of them, you should be able to handle a bunch of pretty much any other zombie. And why 5? Because I know for a fact that either of these weapons can handle anything less with no problem at all. So we summon them in, we stand completely still, and we see how much damage we take after it's all said and done, and kind of take a look at how easy it was to handle them while not moving. Now, I understand normally you would move, but this allows us to see and gauge how strong they are because we're actually not moving. So during these tests, whichever weapon we actually took the least amount of damage with on average is theoretically a little bit better of an option, or stronger crowd control. And don't worry, we will do the movement test as well. Let's start off by taking a look at the stats so you know what we're working with. In intellect, we need to max out intellect. We need to max out electrocutioner, although you don't necessarily need to max out electrocutioner, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. Physician, you do need to max out because you need that chance to kill instantly. Otherwise, it takes it still takes 9 million years to kill something with a baton, but it takes even longer if you don't have the chance for insta-kill. And then we need to max out the intellect mastery so that we can shock every time we hit. And that's really all there is to it for the baton. The sledgehammer is a little bit more convoluted. So sledge, obviously we need to max out strength. We also need to max out skull crusher and grand slam and big and fast. On top of that, we also need to put points into strength mastery up to level 4. This gets us the headhunter ability so that we can pop heads even faster. Not only that, we need to also get a hold of all of the skill books so that when we kill a zombie, we refresh our stamina. Otherwise, we just run out of stamina way too fast. It's fine when you're only handling a couple of zombies, but when you get up into the higher numbers, it just becomes ridiculous and you can't keep up with the zombies and keep them down fast enough before you run out of stamina if you don't have all of the books. It's even sketchy when you have all the books. So we're starting off with the baton with no repulsor mod. You can see that we can handle 5 zombies with no problem with no repulsor, although do note that the shock ability has a cooldown on the zombies themselves. You cannot shock a zombie back to back to back and basically stun lock it, even if you have a 100% chance to shock every single time. So because we can shock, and even though we have the cooldown, 5 zombies, not that big of a deal. We only take a little bit of damage, we're able to handle it. 6 zombies, we take a little bit more damage. Total of 54 that time, so it's getting a little bit harder to handle the zombies without the repulsor mod. Jumping up to 8 zombies with no repulsor mod, you can see that that almost kills us. That leaves us with 35 HP out of 168. I don't think we would be able to handle more than that, and I think honestly we got lucky with this because we one-shot killed a couple of them right from the get-go. So I would say the baton with no repulsor mod is basically a no-go. So we know that the baton without the repulsor can handle up to 8, well, ish. So we're gonna jump to 10 testing the repulsor mod. So the insane thing about having the baton always charged and having the repulsor mod on it is every time you hit a zombie, you just knock it out of the way, which is absolutely insane crowd control. You can see that we handled 10 pretty well here. I was left with 94 HP out of 168. So we lost a total of 74 HP. We got a couple critical status effects on us. We're exhausted, we're infected, and it's not that big of a deal. It's all stuff that we could easily recover from. And honestly, a lot of the issue there was just me and my timing. Theoretically, we could have done that without taking a single hit had I been better at my timings. Okay, so we know the baton with the repulsor, standing still, not moving at all, can handle 10 zombies with absolutely no issue whatsoever. Let's take a look at the sledge for just standing still. So starting off with 5 zombies, you can see not a very big deal. We're left with 121 out of 168 HP, and our time to kill compared to the baton is absolutely nutty. Moving on to 8 zombies with the sledge without moving, you can see that right out of the gate, we just knock them all right to the ground, and they take a good bit of time to get up. One nice thing about the sledge is when you knock them to the ground, they fall to the ground right at your feet so that you can actually keep attacking them, as opposed to the baton where you knock them out of the way, and then you have to go chase after them. But you'll also notice that we don't kill any fast enough back to back in order to keep our stamina bar filled, so that leads to a situation where we run out of stamina, and then they just start beating on us, and things kind of snowball out of control, and I'm forced to call it there and say that that's basically an undoable situation without moving. So score 1 for the Baton because it can handle up to 10 with no problem. However, the Sledgehammer can't even handle 8. Okay, but what about if we move? Because in the game, you're actually going to be moving, so it's a bit of a different situation. Can we handle more with the Sledgehammer if we're actually moving? And can we handle more with the Baton? And what's the difference in that actually look like? So moving, the Sledgehammer can handle 10 of these bad boys with no issue. We come out essentially unscathed, only down to 135 out of 168 HP, which is only 33 damage, and we have no negative status effects on us. That was pretty easy to handle playing the game as you would and moving around. Now, in order to save time, we're just going to cut to 20 zombies. I did a bunch of tests up to 20. We're just going to cut to 20, and I want to show you what happens when you try to fight 20 with a sledge moving around. And that's because, foreshadowing, the Baton can handle a little better. So you can see that the main issue here with 20 of them was the stamina. We run out of stamina, and you have to do the heavy attack to get the heavy attack kill to refill your stamina. It won't refill with a basic attack. I also think that that mechanic might also be bugged. I need to test it specifically a little bit more, but I swear there was a couple times that I got a kill in there that the stamina didn't actually refill during some of my other testing. But the only thing that matters about this clip is that we can't handle 20 zombies with a Sledgehammer because of stamina issues. We just run into stamina issues. It's basically impossible not to. Your chances of getting a kill when you need a kill in order to refresh your stamina to keep swinging to keep them down is basically slim to none. So how does the Baton hold up against 20 of these zombies? Well, relatively well, as you can see on the screen. At first, it becomes a situation where we're juggling them as we're moving around, and then it becomes a situation where it's just straight abuse. Like seriously, once you have a bunch of them down on the ground, or most or all of them down on the ground, it's just straight zombie abuse because you can just keep hitting them, preventing them from ever getting up. And the great thing about it is you can use the light attack and it doesn't really matter because you never run out of stamina. It's literally a non-issue. By the time it was all said and done, we had lost 84 hit points, which isn't terrible. We are infected, but once again, not a problem, pretty easy to cure, only 1.5% infection rate. The strength of the Baton when it comes to crowd control becomes even more apparent when we spawn in 25 of these zombies. Yes, 25. That is absurd. That's more than what you will get for a single person on a horde night of one of the strongest zombies in the game, something that you're never going to run into that many of at one time. We eat a little bit of nerd tats and it's just straight zombie abuse the entire time. Sure, the time to kill is rather long, but does that really matter when they really can't do much of anything to you? Like once you get these things piled up, you can just start hacking at them on the ground and keep them down on the ground, constantly shocking them, shocking the ones nearby because you have the AoE shock on, so as soon as their shock is off cooldown, you can shock them again, and then you just keep ragdolling them around. It's honestly absurd. Once I managed to finally kill all of them, we came out of it with a total of 50 hit points. We lost a total of 118. We were exhausted and we had a 1.3% infection, which honestly, facing more of one of the strongest zombies in the game than you're ever going to face in the game at any given point of time, and managing to survive it relatively easily just goes to show how strong and how broken this setup really is. I'm a firm believer that on a horde night, you could run this setup without even needing a horde base. You could just run around out in the street, just whacking zombies during horde night and be absolutely fine. So score another point for the stun baton. Now, I do want to talk about the setup that is needed a little bit more between the two of these. The other thing that makes the stun baton so strong is you really don't need anything crazy. You don't need to hunt down all of the books or anything like that. You just put points into intellect, and honestly, you don't even need all of the points that I had. I'm pretty sure that you could get away without putting any points into electrocutioner. Now, electrocutioner does reduce your stamina cost, but you could just do light attacks and probably be okay. Under normal circumstances, with these tests, I'm pretty sure that we probably would have been overwhelmed and run out of stamina facing 25 of these zombies without points in electrocutioner, but under normal circumstances, I think you could get away without putting points into electrocutioner and be absolutely ridiculously broken. Now, you do need the points in physician in order to get that one-shot kill, otherwise you're just going to spend your entire game batting zombies around the map and never killing them, and you need the points into intellect mastery so that you can always have your stun baton charged, which does mean that you need to max out intellect in order to do that, but that isn't very hard to do. So if you have the setup that I'm running here without any of the other defensive stuff that I'm running, just to be able to run the crowd control setup, you need 33 total points to spend. That's not bad. So that means you could do this by level 33 if you focused it. You also need to get a hold of a stun baton, and you need to get the repulsor mod. Now, those two things can be a little challenging, but not nearly as challenging as collecting the stuff that you need for the setup to have the crowd control power with the sledgehammer that even gets close to the crowd control power that you have with the stun baton. So for the sledgehammer, you're going to need a total of 37 points spent. So you're not going to be able to do this until you reach level 37. And you definitely need all of the setup that I have here because you need to be able to attack faster. You need to be able to knock them down. You need all of these points to be spent. On top of that, you really have to get all of the sledgehammer books. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of stamina continuously. Now, I will point out that under normal circumstances, you should be fine. I mean, I've run the sledgehammer before this patch plenty of times, clear to end game. The sledgehammer has always been strong, always will be strong. But when we're specifically talking about crowd control, you need to be swinging as much as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can in order to trigger those knockdown effects, which means you're going to be just chewing through stamina. And in order to handle that in any significant amount of way, you really need that final perk for reading all of the books, which gives you all of your stamina back whenever you kill a zombie with a heavy attack. So overall, with these tests, I gotta say, and I think many of you are going to agree with me, Stun Baton is and has always been and will remain being the ultimate crowd control champion. And I honestly think that with the changes that they've made to the skill tree, giving us the ability to always have it charge, just makes it that much stronger and that much more broken than it always has been. But let me know what you all think down there in the comment section. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful and informational, please consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more of my content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.